slowing down, I think we can get started. We are recording this just for your information. If you're just now joining us, we'll be recording this and sending it out afterwards. So if you are here the full time, that's great. We likely won't send out some of the question portion of it. So you won't get maybe some of the written chat stuff. So if you definitely want that live Q&A interaction, I suggest sticking around, but we will be sending this out to registrants and people interested in viewing the recording if you want to share it with your student or people you may know. So welcome. This is our fall webinar, Applying to College Horizons 2023. We're really excited about next summer. So I'm actually going to get us started so we can introduce ourselves so you know who is speaking to you today. Yat e she'e dine dormi nishe tabahan nishlin nakai dine bashashin totsoni dashache nakai dine dashanale. My name is Danae Dormy. I'm a citizen of the Navajo Nation. I am based here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. This is where I was born and raised. My family is from Fort Defiance, Arizona, and also a portion of southern New Mexico. And I graduated from Yale University with a bachelor's degree in women's gender and sexuality studies in 2015. And I actually came to College Horizons, so I'm now currently the Associate Director of College Horizons, but I came to this organization because I'm an alumna of the program, and I did College Horizons back in 2009, and it was at Yale University. So it was just like a great opportunity to get to know the campus. But I ended up going on to, like I said, attend Yale, but I worked in the admissions office after graduating. I was an assistant director of undergraduate admissions and ran a lot of the Native American recruitment on campus. So that kind of got me back in touch with College Horizons and came full circle to moving back to New Mexico to start working with College Horizons about 4 or 5 years ago. So I'm really excited to be here today. This is a really exciting webinar for us because you'll hear more about the updates of the program, but we've been remote for so long that we have just some really exciting updates for you all. But I'm going to pass it to my colleague, Kendall, who is with us too.
Yes, hello everyone. Kendall Harvey dasha jine turachini nasle ashihi bashchi ki ani dasha che toaglini dasha nella rozilna adli dan sha. But hello everyone, my name is Kendall. I use he, him pronouns. I am the Scholars Fellow and Program Associate. So I'll explain that just in a few seconds. But I'm Navajo. I grew up outside of Bloomfield, New Mexico. I also am a College Horizons alum. I did the program back in 2013, and kind of similar to Danae, I did the program when it was hosted by New York University in New York City. And so that got me the great exposure to New York City, and it ended up being the university I attended, which is Columbia. But about my position, so at College Horizons, we have 3 different programs, and we'll explain that a little bit more in the future slides. But I work with all of our alumni who are currently in college, who are part of the Scholars Pathway program. So for students, parents, and counselors, when your student goes through College Horizons, we have another program that they can participate afterwards going into their first year of college. And so we are there to be kind of another stepping stone to support the student along their journey in higher education. But that's me. And we can go ahead to the next slide.
Thanks, Kendall. All right, next slide. So Kendall's going to help me out with some of these opening slides. Bear with me if my voice is a little in and out. I'm a little bit under the weather, so hopefully my voice doesn't give out on me here. But College Horizons, we are a nonprofit organization based here in New Mexico, in Bernalillo, on Pueblo lands. We're surrounded by several different communities, Sandia Pueblo, Santa Ana Pueblo, and then we have office mates from various different communities, but we focus on college access, success, and particularly assisting Native American, Alaska Native, and Native Hawaiian students with the college, graduate, and professional school admission process. This also means that we do tackle a lot of things in the financial aid process. These things go hand in hand. So as an organization, we are constantly working with a number of different partners along the way. We are working with students directly. If there are students out here listening, we're working with you, planning programs for you to attend, but we're also working in partnership with colleges, with high school counselors, and even with tribal education departments or tribal educators. So we kind of see ourselves as a little bit of a connecting point for a bunch of different entities in higher education. And I actually love this photo on this slide particularly because this is from one of our, I guess one of our last in-person programs. It feels kind of crazy to say because it was in 2019, before the pandemic, but this is a program we held at Brown University, and I just love this candid photo of one of our small groups, and you'll hear more about what it means to be in a small group, and this kind of captures, I think, the energy and the fun of what it's like to be at College Horizons in person among a bunch of different Native students and college professionals on a campus. But I am going to, so that's a little bit about our organization, but I'm going to pass it to Kendall to talk a little bit more about what we do.
At College Horizons, our mission is to encourage and facilitate the education of Native youth. And so we're actually a small team here at College Horizons. There's only 6 of us, but what's unique is that actually 4 of us who are on staff are College Horizons alumni. So we share the experience with the students of actually going through the program, going through the whole week-long crash course of the admissions workshop that it is. But each summer we offer multiple programs, but for this particular group for high school students, we will be gathered for 1 week on a college campus, and we partner with over 70 college partners around the country. So it's all of your big name schools, the top 25 type schools, and some state institutions, but they're typically 4-year private liberal arts colleges. But what's fascinating is that our partners send out an admissions officer from their campus, and they are the people who end up serving as our faculty for the program, along with some volunteer folks who come from high schools that we've partnered with in the past, other people who just like want to volunteer their time to support Native students in our program. But let me go ahead and go to the next slide.
Yeah, and I'm actually gonna chime in really quick because I realized we like rushed right through our intro, but I forgot to give a reminder that this is going to be there's gonna be a live Q&A at the end of this webinar. So I encourage you all to go ahead and, if you have a question that comes up while we're talking, I know we haven't got to like the meat of the program information yet. This is kind of just our introductory info, but you can use the Q&A box. It is open. Our chat is open. So if you are on the call today and you're one of our faculty members or your family that's familiar with our organization, feel free to shout it out, use the chat. But if you have a question, particularly, I would encourage you to use the Q&A box. That's where Kendall and I will be pulling questions from in the last 15 minutes. So once we hit the 5:45 mark for us, we're going to switch into that question and answer portion. So you can just save your questions or put them in there and we will get to them. And hopefully we will answer some of them along the way too. But I'm gonna go ahead and advance the slide for you, Kendall.
Yeah, so just some statistics for you. College Horizons has been around for over 20 years. 1998 is actually when the organization started offering these types of workshops for Native students. So over that 20+ year span of summer programs, we've helped, I think it's like 3,300 plus now at this point with this last cohort of students from this past summer. And with each group of each summer, there's about like a rough number of like 200 at minimum up to 300 students that come to our programs every summer. And so when you think about all those students in high school and once they graduate and they're actually in college, at any given time, we have about 800 College Horizons alumni who are enrolled in like an undergraduate program. 45% of them are first-gen students, about 50% of them are Pell eligible, 60% of our students live within 60 miles from their homeland. So either that's their tribal community, reservation, or wherever their Native community is near. And then we mentioned there's about 70+ college partnerships that we maintain every year. And then since each university sends admissions officers to serve as faculty, we get about 120 admissions officers coming to our programs every summer, and then about 60 high school counselors who join us. So it's a lot of people on campus at one time. We're kind of dominating the campus space for the summer. And it's a really interesting experience to kind of just feel because for some students, being around so many other Native students and like faculty who want to support their journeys is like kind of a once in a lifetime experience. But we'll talk more about what actually happens at the program in the next few slides. And I'll give it back to Danae.
Sorry, there we go. It's like pausing a little bit for me on my end. All right, so like Kendall mentioned, we serve a lot of different students every summer, 200 to 300, and that's going to be split between 2 different programs. But some statistics that we really like to share with families and with partners out there is that a majority of our students, over 90%, it's been up to 99%, have been admitted to college following College Horizons and following attending our program. Again, a majority of our students are matriculating to a four-year institution, meaning they are accepting their admission and they are taking a spot on campus. And then about 40% of our students do end up attending a College Horizons partner college. And so we have about 85% who graduate college in 4 to 5 years, which is just a really, I think, really amazing statistic. As somebody who I think was a product of the College Horizons pathway, it definitely means a lot to me that we can be able to say that and show students, you know, what are some of the possibilities for them in the college pathway. So this other little blurb we have here of recent and upcoming CH host sites. The next slide, I'm going to talk more about this year's host sites, but I did want you all to see what we were up to in 2019 and you know, the past few years. So in 2019, like I mentioned, we were at Brown University and the University of Michigan. We did host two, you know, of our consistent and normal in-person programs prior to the pandemic. And then from 2020, of course, as many of you know, we were in a pandemic and we are still in one. And so until 2022, for 3 programs in a row, we were remote and we held a big large-scale program, very similar, but we were online fully virtually with our students and faculty, you know, still facilitating a 6-day program so that students have the opportunity to connect with faculty and do some of the things that I'll talk about here in a minute. But we are very excited that this coming summer in 2023, after 3 years remote, we will be attending Emory and University of Redlands as our host sites for the program. So I'm going to actually just skip to the next slide because this is our big update for those of you joining. You may have seen on our social media pages, but we are returning officially to in-person programming for the first time in 3 years. And I just wanted to highlight the dates of the program here first before we get into the application process and what it means to actually attend College Horizons. So we are a summer program, and these 2 host sites are going to be held at different dates, so it's not concurrently. University of Redlands is going to be from June 24th to 30th, and Emory University, a program in Atlanta, Georgia, is going to be from July 8th to 14th. And we do actually ask that students, you'll see this on the front end of our application, we ask that students reserve all full 6 days to be a part of our program. We are a fully immersive program. You're on a college campus for the entirety of it. You're eating in the dining hall. You're staying, you know, likely with a roommate or in a suite or pod of, you know, fellow students participating. We have programming fully from, you know, roughly 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. So you're really with us the full day, just completely, you know, in-depth college campus experience. So that's why the dates are so important to highlight, so you can check out your calendars, mark that now, be prepared for that. We don't usually accommodate students, just because I know people often have questions about this. We don't typically accommodate students for family or personal vacations. If you have another academic program specifically that you are attending, you can always email our apply@collegehorizons.org email, which all that info will be in the chat and at the end if you have further questions about it. But that is all listed in our front page of our application. So just thought I'd mention it here. All right, and this is some of our kind of starting application and basic information. Our student application is actually now available. We just launched it a couple of weeks ago. It is online. I will have the link in a following slide, but basically it's going to be on our website. Kendall, if you wouldn't actually mind just throwing the link to our collegehorizons.org/apply in the chat, that would be great so that people can just have it. So it's available. It's out there for you to take a look at. If you want to pull it up while you're on this webinar and check it out, feel free to do so. The student application this year is going to be due on January 25th, 2023. So you have some of this winter break time to start preparing your materials and you know, what you need for the application, which we'll talk about soon. And then you can expect an admission decision from us by early to mid-March. So we will typically update you at least once between when you apply, you know, before January and March, letting you know what components of the application you may or may not be missing, or, you know, what you might need. So The cost of the program this year, there is no tuition fee. It was previously, we charged $450 per student, but this year we've waived the tuition fees, so it is free to attend. However, families are responsible for round trip airfare, and this is a section of our student application. Financial aid is available for travel based on need. But one thing I do want to point out about College Horizons that I guess we haven't really dove into yet is that we are a summer program for American Indian, Alaska Native, and Native Hawaiian students from all over. So many different communities. It's not, I know, I think I saw a quick question in here about whether or not it's for New Mexico residents only. No, it is for students from federally recognized communities that and also Native Hawaiian and Alaska Native. So we'll talk more about the eligibility and requirements as we move through this, but this is kind of just our high-level overview of the timeline. Applications available. It's due on January 25th. You'll know by mid-March, and if you are accepted, you would be attending in the summer. So, all right, so I already kind of laid the groundwork, but what do we actually do at College Horizons? We bring these, 100 to 150 students, to a college campus per program. So what does that mean? What are they doing while they're there? Why should you apply? So students at our program, like I think Kendall mentioned it briefly before, but we actually bring in about 70 different college partners as well, and they're going to be sending college admissions counselors and representatives from their institutions to serve as our staff or faculty, as we call them, and we will be placing students into small groups during their time with us. So even though they're a part of a large cohort of 100 plus students per program, they're going to be split into small groups of about 10 to 12 students, so they can have a little bit more individualized support. And those are some of the groups you were seeing in the photos earlier on that spend the 6 days together. And these are some of the things that we accomplish over the course of 6 days with students. Students are going to be researching and selecting 10 colleges to apply to. Our faculty are going to be acting as what we call list makers and essay specialists. These are college professionals and also high school counselors or tribal educators who are extremely experienced in the field that assist students in crafting a list of colleges. They're going to be assisting students in completing a polished common application, which is the most common way to apply to college, with hundreds of schools on that platform. So you can fill it out once and be able to apply to several different places at the same time. We work through our essays with our essay specialists. Students might be going through several drafts while they're with us at the program. We have a test taking strategy workshop for students while they're there, especially in the time of COVID. I think there's a lot of questions around test taking and whether or not that is a required part of the process. So we go through all of the details of that. We talk a lot about navigating financial aid at College Horizons. We go through a preliminary FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid that anyone applying to financial aid out there has to complete, for any, no matter where you're going to college. So we're going through the FAFSA pretty in-depth and trying to mimic that as a part of our application process so that students and families have some familiarity with that before they actually embark on the college application process. We're going to be talking to students about how to calculate your expected family contribution and help you out by looking at your family's tax information and financial information, and look at what it means for you. How much financial aid can you as a student expect to receive? We also usually have a great campus tour with our college host site partner. We're able to be on campus all week, so it's almost like you don't even need a tour at that point, but we still do a formal campus tour for students. They can get that perspective from it. We also host a huge college fair with all of our partners that are in attendance at the program. Since students are only in their small groups for most of the time, they're with, maybe the few counselors that are working with them there, we still want students to have several opportunities to connect with college admissions representatives throughout the week. So one of the things we do is we do host a closed college fair for students to be able to interact one-on-one with these admissions counselors. It's such a unique opportunity to have this type of fair for just these 100 plus Native students, being able to talk to as many colleges as we bring and have really in-depth conversation for that time. So we also host some information sessions for each of the colleges. So again, that's additional time built out for students to be interacting with college admissions professionals. We also talk a lot about what it means to be a Native student in college. So I know Kendall can understand what these sessions are like, but there's several different sessions that we run at the program that help students talk about what they can expect on a college campus, how they might be able to approach the experience, and how they can best prepare for it from the social side, as well as the academic side, as well as the cultural side of things. So we try to make sure that students are getting a full picture of what it's like to be a Native student in college. And then, of course, like Kendall mentioned, it's really connecting with many different Native youth while students are there is one of the most unique elements of the program. Whether you are a student who's in classes every day with a lot of Native students, or you might be the only Native student in your class day to day, I think it's a really unique experience to be at College Horizons, making those connections in your small group, but also in the larger cohort, and able to talk to students from many different tribal nations and communities who are all wanting to go to college and moving along the same pathway with you. So, all right. So let's talk a little bit about applying and what it means to actually apply to our program. So one piece of context I really want to give here is that we aim to mimic the college application process at College Horizons. So you might open up our application. I have the link here, collegehorizons.org/apply, and think, wow, that's a lot of words and pages to fill out. So I think we have like 9 tabs you can see on the screenshot here for students to fill out. It's a pretty long application, but it's very similar to what it actually means to apply to college. And we really try to make this application student and family friendly so that you are able to give us a full picture of who you are and what you need from us as an organization. So this application is designed in a very specific way so that students feel like they're familiar with this process and they understand these questions. And we really feel like it's a part of the process, really. It's in preparation of what, the materials you're going to need to gather and things like that. So I encourage you to get online during this presentation, right after this presentation, and go ahead and actually start your application now, because there is a Save My Progress function. You'll see that right. I don't think I can, I should have probably circled it in red on here, but you'll see that right there above the 2023 CH student application. There's a little box that says Save My Progress and Resume Later. I highly recommend you start your application today. You can fill out a little piece of it. You can check it out. You can see what's coming down the line. We have a personal statement at the very end. You can view the prompt. You can view the short answer questions that we ask, and you can kind of prepare yourself, start brainstorming that, and start getting things together and save your application using an email address. Please make sure the email address is correct. It's a lot easier on our end to find your application if you forget your password to get back into it. But I do encourage you to start your application today just to get a sense of what it's all about and start preparing yourself. So I have on here in steps 3 and 4, also start thinking about who you might want to be your teacher recommendation. So I'm going to go through the different components of the application here next, but we do require that you have one teacher recommendation from a core academic subject, and that's why I wanted to highlight it here. This is a teacher we want you to have from a core class. So that's going to be like math, history classes, English classes, science classes, foreign language classes. Those core academic subjects are really important to us to hear from your teachers about what you're like in that classroom setting. It's your responsibility to share the link to that form with your teachers so that they can fill it out on your behalf. Similar thing with the counselor form, we're asking you to share it with your counselors and they can send that back to us. So since I've already mentioned those, I do want to go directly into the components themselves. How many things do you need to apply to us? I feel like it can feel a little bit cumbersome, but this is it all in one right here for you listed. These are the 6 main things that we ask of you as an applicant to College Horizons. first things first, fill out the student application. Like I said, it includes some short answer questions, an essay. We have an optional section to submit any test results you might already have taken. And then, of course, we ask for your unofficial transcript. We do ask that your counselors submit your official transcript or an official version. So that's just for us to get started in our evaluation and reading process if your counselor form comes in a little later. So the student application is component one. Second, we have the teacher recommendation form. Like I said, you are responsible as a student for giving your teacher the link to this form, and they will be filling it out on your behalf. Number three, the counselor form and official transcript upload. Students are again responsible for giving this link to their counselors so that they can send it back to us and give us some context about your school, your classes, the rigor of your schedule, what kind of student you are as well, but from a different perspective. We understand that some of you may be in schools where your counselor works with hundreds of students and you might not know them personally. Don't panic. It's totally okay if that is your situation. We do still need a counselor form from you. And this is a good opportunity for you to actually create a relationship with your high school college counselor. So you might want to schedule an appointment or look into seeing what it might mean to go to their office during open hours and say, hey, I need this form filled out. This is what they're asking, of it. And if you're a counselor on the call right now, I do have a couple of tips for counselors at the end of this presentation for what we are looking for from those forms. The fourth component is we do have a parent guardian form, and in this form we do ask for, and again, students are responsible for giving this link to their parents or filling it out with them. This really is a form for parents and guardians because we ask a lot of financial questions on this form, and there is a section where we do ask that you upload your tax documents and information so we can better help you understand your financial situation. And if you are going to be asking for travel financial assistance from us to get to the program, it is actually required that you provide us with those tax documents and fill out this form. So this form is a requirement for everyone, but just to keep that in mind that, that section is in there specifically as well for those that might be asking for financial aid from us. So that's the fourth component, our parent form. The fifth component is we ask that you upload your tribal enrollment or Hawaiian documentation for us, and that upload form is pretty self-explanatory. All of the all of the language around that is easily accessible on the form. So these links are all on our website. If you click the link that Kendall put in the chat, you'll see all of these different links there and you can get to them pretty easily. But the documentation upload is pretty self-explanatory. We just ask for a copy, a photo, a PDF of your tribal enrollment or Hawaiian documentation. And then our sixth component is our Q3 grades upload. This is actually, students, you're going to upload whatever transcript you have right now when you apply to us by the end of this semester, or whenever your semester ends. That's what you'll give us. But around mid-spring, we also want to see those updated grades from you. So if you're finishing out that third quarter, or if you're in a year-round schedule and you're kind of finishing up that block of time, we do ask that you submit your most up-to-date grades to us while we're evaluating applications still in late February. So you'll see that deadline down there, February 28th. And that's an upload form that we just, again, it's a quick upload, one click, pretty self-explanatory, but it's something to keep in mind after you apply. And we will send reminders to those who have already replied or applied. Oops, did I skip one? There we go. All right, and these are the, this is the eligibility for our program. So you might be wondering, like, am I eligible for College Horizons? Who is this for? Like I said, we serve American Indian, Alaska Native, Native Hawaiian students. So our first eligibility requirement is that you are an enrolled member of a federally recognized or state recognized tribe, Alaska Native group, or that you have documentation from the Hawaiian office. I forget the official name of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. There we go. And we ask for that documentation as a part of our requirements that I just listed. So that's our number one thing. You also have to be either a current sophomore or current junior in high school. So that's rising juniors and rising seniors. So just to confuse you a little bit more, but if you are currently a sophomore or junior in high school, that's that's exactly who we're looking to work with. We ask that you have a minimum 3.0 GPA in your core academic courses, rather than, just your electives. We do really take a look at your core academic courses closely. If you feel like you are right on the cusp of that GPA requirement, it's okay. You can go ahead and send us an email or talk to your high school counselor or a teacher about, this program and what you're thinking. And, maybe it's the case that you are still a fit for our program. We do evaluate things holistically, meaning that we look at all the different pieces that you're giving us, not just your grade point average. So we do put that there because we are looking for students who are, really going to take the program seriously, are taking their academic journey seriously, but we also understand that things happen. You all have been going to school if you're a student in, a pandemic, and there's been a lot of different things going on in life. So if you are on the cusp of that, just know that that's something that we might be able to work with. But again, we ask that you are a citizen currently residing in the United States, that you submit a completed application packet by the deadline. And then I wanted to highlight being up to date on COVID-19 vaccinations by April 1st, 2023, which is when we're going to be starting our process of booking travel for students and getting students ready for the summer program. So we have that deadline set kind of for us internally, so we know you're all up to date on COVID-19 requirements on our end. So just a little note further on COVID-19, like I said, all College Horizons participants this year, since we're going back in person, are required to be fully vaccinated and boosted. Sorry, I think that's a little typo, but by April 2023, April 1st. And that's basically when students are going to start booking their airline tickets. And upon acceptance, we are asking that students do submit that proof to us. So that's not going to be part of the application process, but if you are accepted, please know that you will be expected to send your COVID-19 a vaccination info to us. And we are working with our host colleges closely to comply with their safety measures as well as public health safety measures. So this is something that is actually we're taking really seriously and is part of the process when we are going to be on a college campus. So just a couple of other notes on some of that in-person compliance. Like I said, these re-entry plans are based on whatever status the pandemic is in at that time. We are currently still in a pandemic, and I know even in the county that we're in here in New Mexico, we're back at a high level of COVID cases. So it's something we're still thinking about, and we want to be good relatives at College Horizons and make sure that we are getting students, staff, and faculty back home, safe and healthy, so that we, can be good relatives and be in community with each other in a safe way. So students can expect mitigation strategies that might mean we ask for pre-entry negative testing. So we ask that you test negative before you come to the program. We might be doing masking, physical distancing, daily wellness checks, things like that, that we're still trying to make sure we can run a safe in-person program since we've been remote for so long. So these are just some things to expect moving forward. All right, some of the common questions we receive about College Horizons is the cost of the program. How much is it to go? So I just wanted to put it in here again. I know I mentioned it briefly before. We are not charging a tuition fee this year, which is great, makes the program a little bit more accessible. Our tuition fee was previously $450. But we are asking that families pay for the cost of round trip airfare. And I put a little bit more information in this slide about financial assistance for that travel. So it's going to be based on family need, based on the parent financial form that I talked about earlier that parents will be turning in and submitting those recent tax returns. So parents just know that that's what you can get ready for if you do plan to ask for airfare financial assistance. Getting those tax documents ready and organized as a part of the student application will be really important. We will ask that students actually book their airline tickets with College Horizons travel agency. So with the travel agency we work with. So that's a little bit more about that. I did want to note as well, both for the application and if you're admitted and you come to the program, we use a lot of Google platforms. We use Google Classroom. We use we create a Gmail account for every student attending our program through our domain, collegehorizons.org. So We recommend that you use Google Chrome for everything. We are compatible with Google Chrome, and sometimes students have an issue. This is more so when attending the program, but if you have an issue accessing anything from a school issued laptop, I do encourage you to contact your school IT administrator before contacting College Horizons, just to ensure that you've done everything you can to access our Google platforms if admitted. And if you have serious issues accessing the application or anything, you can feel free to email me or our team at College Horizons and get in touch with us. Again, our contact info will be in the chat. All right, and then this is just a quick little overview of something to expect in our application for those of you who will be applying soon. Is part of our process is verifying that you actually are who you are. It may be a surprise to some people, but we deal with a lot of different fraudulent activity in the college admissions world and in program applications. As somebody who runs program applications a lot, it's just something I really want to go over here. We ask that at the end of the application, when you're done filling it out, students go ahead and go through our e-signature verification. So it's just a quick little picture of what happens. You'll see this little note, step 1, you'll hit submit. But we put a big note there saying you are not finished yet. You have to review your application and sign it before you move on. So just know that's what that little notice is. You're not done. There's going to be a 2-step process to verifying your signature, and it's just going to require an email confirmation. So that's really the main thing to know, is that you're going to hit the submit button. You'll see some instructions. You'll get to review your responses, and you'll get to review your application that you just filled out. And then you will sign and type your name in. I did mine as an example. And basically it'll say your response is incomplete until you verify it via email. So you will then go to your email account and click on the link provided, and it'll let you know that your response has been processed successfully. So make sure, students, that you're going through this little signature process. And if you have questions about it, you can email me, because it is really important that we have your signature. It's part of our verification process. It's part of you ensuring that all of the information that you've submitted to us is correct and valid. And so just one thing, that's just a quick thing I wanted to highlight. This is the little example of the email and the link you'll receive in your email. So check your email. It'll come from apply@collegehorizons.org after you hit submit, and then you'll be able to verify your application. All right. So I've already mentioned, but our application process is holistic, or our evaluation process. We consider everything: your academics, your grades, your transcript. We also consider your letters of recommendation, which tell us more about who you are, what kind of person you are, what extracurriculars you engage in, what is your community involvement look like. This could be your cultural community, your Native community. We asked pretty explicitly on the application, what does that look like? Where are you in that sense of your community? We want to know more about where you come from and what your story is, and that can include, like, you help out your family, you are involved in your church, you play sports, you play an instrument, whatever it is. It doesn't always have to be an in-school activity. We are also interested in what you're doing outside of school, and whatever communities matter to you matter to us. So our program is a competitive program. We do typically receive more applications than we have spots. So it's just important that you know that students who apply on time are reviewed first and receive priority. So that application deadline of January 25th, that is the deadline to know about and the deadline to beat, because that is going to be the applications that we are prioritizing and that we are going to be looking at first in order. So just know that we are excited to have you apply, and we certainly hope to fill all of these spots, but we do usually receive more applicants than we have spots. So students, start your applications early. Get ahead of it, get on it during the holiday break, Thanksgiving break, or whatever holiday winter breaks you have for school. Just make sure you're using that time and getting ahead of the process. And Kendall and I will be sending out some little calendar, like, to-dos and how you can complete your application, tips and tricks over our newsletter over the next few months, so look out for those. These are just some quick tips I have for counselors. If we have any counselors or educators on the call, I know, like I mentioned, some schools, there may only be one counselor for hundreds of students, but in our experience, even if that's the case, it's still helpful to hear from the counselor and understand the size of the school, the rigor of the classes. Is it a school that offers AP classes, honors classes, IB courses? What resources are available to this student so we can picture their classroom life and school life? So counselors, if you don't have a school profile, we do encourage you to take this as an opportunity to create one. This is something that colleges are using to evaluate students pretty strongly in the process. And so as an admissions counselor, I used to evaluate applications all the time, and the school profile would build out all of this information for me. So it's in one place. How big is the school? Where is it located? What does the student body demographics look like? And so that's a lot of the stuff to include in that. What does the course load look like, a typical course load? So we do encourage counselors to create a school profile, as it is really helpful in the college process. So not just the College Horizons application, but also the college application process for your students. But if you don't, that is also why we have the counselor form, and we ask all of this on there as well, so that you have an opportunity to give us this information. We really hope that counselors are emphasizing how students differ from other students. So what makes this particular student unique? This could mean even just in the sense of a student's transcript and course load, just anything that will help us understand a student's goals, motivations, and what it is, that is important to know for us on the College Horizons side of things. So contextualize your school and emphasizing, what this student is like to us is most helpful. All right, I think we mostly got through. I wanted to make sure we leave some time for questions, because I feel like we could talk for hours about the different requirements and components and all the different things we offer at College Horizons, but ultimately, we want to make sure that students have access to the application and to our summer program. So if you all have questions, now is the time to put them in the Q&A box, and Kendall and I will go through them. While we wait for a few more questions to come in, I already see some popping up. Go ahead and screenshot this, write it down. This is the email and our website that you will want to refer to moving forward. You can always email apply@collegehorizons.org. And then I'll make sure Kendall and I put our emails in the chat for you all. So if you have any questions about the application, you can feel free to reach out to me directly or reach out to this email inbox. Your question will get answered either way. And then our general website is listed there too. All right,
Yeah, thank you so much today. And just looking at some of the questions that are in the Q&A box, I went ahead and answered a few of them that are kind of like a direct kind of response to them. And I feel like the questions that are left kind of like in this bank of questions are ones that are on the end of it depends, or
let me take a look, because some of these questions might be worth repeating, even if Kendall answered them typed out. So like I mentioned earlier, I did see this one. Someone asked if this program is for New Mexico residents only. No, I think I went through that mostly in the components and requirements section. It's open to any Native student who fits our requirements. So go ahead and take a look at those on the website if you missed them before. Is the program applicable to incoming 10th and 11th grade students, meaning current 9th and 10th? So I think Kendall already answered this, but 10th graders would be eligible, 9th graders would be needing to wait one more year to apply. But if you are a current 10th grader or 11th grader, you can apply to our program. Of course, if you come to College Horizons, it also makes you eligible to attend some of our other pathway programs. Kendall mentioned the Scholars Program, which he works for primarily, and that program is open to our College Horizons alumni so that they have an opportunity to go through another program before actually entering college. After their senior year before entering college. Great question, somebody asked a clarification about the third quarter transcript upload. So in her case, it says my daughter's third quarter doesn't end until March 10th. Should we wait until she gets her grades or send her second semester by 2/28? So the first, your first semester grades are actually due as a part of the application. So when you apply by January 25th, you will want to send any grades you have at that point from your first semester. And then as soon as your grades become available in that third quarter, so March 10th, we still ask that you send them to us, even if we are still in an evaluation time or starting to get the ball rolling. It's totally fine. Just as soon as you have them, we also ask that you maybe inquire with your teachers or counselors if there's a progress report. So many students have the option to log into a virtual portal nowadays where they can see their current grades. And I would say by February 28th, my recommendation would be to go ahead and try to screenshot. We accept screenshots, send those unofficial like progress report grades by February 28th, and then you can send us the official by March. But that's just a thing to know for the third quarter grades in February after you apply. All right. So great question. Somebody asked in here, do we choose the location? I think they mean host site. Where do we get to choose which program we attend? So in our student application, we do allow students to place a program priority, which one they would prefer based on dates, but we do not guarantee that we will accommodate that. We do our best to accommodate it, but sometimes it just comes down to booking travel with our travel agency and how different things work out. We want to make sure that both programs are also equally diverse in terms of tribal representation and demographics, gender, things like that. We want to just make sure that all the programs look similar and that you're going to get the same experience. So we do allow for you to rank your choices, but we can't guarantee that you will get your first choice. So that's just something to be aware of. Oh, great. I think a couple people actually asked that. I'm now scrolling through it. Do we get to select which program to attend? So yeah. You sort of get to tell us which one you want, but we don't quite have to adhere to that. So I apologize, students. Do rising juniors have priority over rising sophomores? That's a question I just saw in here. If you are not accepted as a sophomore, should you just try again as a junior? So this is a great question. No, rising juniors do not have priority over rising sophomores. If you are eligible for our program, you are going to be evaluated exactly the same as everyone else in the pool that year. So just know that is the case. However, if you are a sophomore and you do not get accepted, we do encourage you to reapply the next year as a junior, because we might have some feedback for you, or you can always reach out to us and say, hey, what could I have maybe done better here? And maybe it is just something about evaluating the application where we're saying this student is a great student. We just want to see another year of grades under their belt, or we just want to see one more year of transcript. So the situation may change in a semester or two. So that is definitely the case where if you are not accepted as a sophomore, I would encourage you to try again as a junior, but there isn't a priority over the two any given year. So don't worry about that. Let's see. Is there a scholarship available for those accepted but unable to pay the airfare? So yes, like I mentioned, we do offer financial assistance for airfare to students who are accepted to College Horizons, and that is why filling out the parent form is so crucial. If you are going to be applying to travel financial aid, we do ask that you take the parent form seriously. You upload your tax documentation. It's required of everyone, but the tax documents are required of anyone who's asking for travel financial assistance. So there is financial aid available for travel, and it is possible, and we want to make it possible for you to get to the college campus to attend. I received financial aid to travel to College Horizons when I did it back in 2009. So it's definitely something that a lot of students do request, and that we try to prioritize and make happen. So all right, I have a question in here. I don't quite understand the phrasing, but I think someone's asking what happens if a student's enrolled in like an additional program like Upward Bound or another college prep program throughout the summer. We do have a section in the application where we have students let us know if they anticipate being a part of another summer program and what the dates of that program are. We also allow them to let us know even if they're just applying to that program. So it's important for us to know. We'll see if we can accommodate it. If students are missing too much time of College Horizons, it typically isn't really worth it because we want to make sure that students are getting the full experience and getting the most that they can out of the program. So we really encourage students to, make themselves available for that time, but we have worked with other summer programs in the past. I know, for instance, that Upward Bound program that someone asked a question for is like a long-term summer program. So there may be an opportunity for a student to step away from that program to attend ours, but that's a unique circumstance. So students, if it's a personal, accommodation or a sports tournament or things like that that come up, we don't typically accommodate those kinds of conflicts. So just know that going into the process. Let's see. Someone asked how they might apply as a counselor or educator. So it's a good question. We do have a lot of returning faculty, people who have been working with our program for many, many years. If you're a counselor or educator on here, you can visit our website. There's an inquiry page to becoming a partner, but also to just our contact. You can also email me because we usually do put out some sort of application process for open spots for counselors. We don't have openings every year, so I will just keep it at that, but just keep an eye out for that. Sign up for our newsletter because sometimes we do open calls for counselors, but for the most part, we have a pretty rigorous system where we determine which counselors are coming, but I do want to make sure you have that information, so you can feel free to email me, and my email's in the chat. Someone asked, what if a small school doesn't have a college counselor? Would it be just another teacher recommendation? I don't think I've actually ever encountered a school that doesn't have a guidance counselor or counselor, but I think typically I'm thinking right now of like homeschool situations where maybe it might be a parent or somebody from more of an administrative or teacher perspective. We do ask for somebody from an administrative perspective who can give context to the schooling environment rather than just another teacher recommendation, because we already have one teacher recommendation. The counselor form serves its own purpose. We're looking for a full transcript upload. We're looking for information on the school experience and the school demographics. So if there's further questions about that, feel free to reach out to me via email. Let's see. I think most of these. Yeah, someone asked if there's family income criteria to apply to travel. My colleague, Amelia, who is not on this webinar with us, handles a lot of our financial aid questions, but like I said, in that parent form, when you're filling it out and you're giving us, your full picture of your financial situation, we're evaluating that to understand your need and figuring out on our end what we can offer. So that's some stuff that happens, some magic in the background through Amelia. So I'm gonna actually put her email in the chat as well if you have a very specific question around family income and financial assistance. But all of the stuff to fill out for it is in the application and the parent form. So just know that, but we don't have any like specifics to give you right here and right now. Can you, let me, actually, I think you said you couldn't put it in the chat, Kendall. I'm just throwing her email out there for you all. All right, I think we're gonna wrap up here, but if anyone has any specific questions that might be really narrow, specific to your own situation, academically or personally or whatever it may be, you can feel free to just send us an email so that we can talk about it offline. But I really appreciate you all joining us today. This is probably the first of several webinars that we're going to do on applying. Hopefully we'll be having a few more that kind of more specifically tackle things like how to start brainstorming and crafting your personal statement or your short answer questions, because again, these are in a way part of the college process. So we just want to make sure you're not only prepared for College Horizons, but that these are components you're really familiar and comfortable and confident in. So we'll be hosting some more office hours or webinars where Kendall and I will be available for specific personal questions or tips and things like that with the College Horizons process as a whole. So follow us on social media. We're at College Horizons on pretty much all platforms. We post a lot on Facebook and Instagram, so you'll see all of our deadlines and updates and reminders there. Kendall has an amazing podcast through College Horizons that I'll plug, where he interviews alumni of our program who are out there doing amazing things. So you can hear directly from them on how College Horizons has impacted their life and their professional experiences and collegiate experiences, academics and things like that. So we're all over the place at College Horizons. You can find us everywhere. But thanks so much, everyone, for joining us today. Kendall, I don't know if you wanted to say anything before we sign off.
No, just hopefully everyone gets to submit an application this year. We'll see you next summer, either in California or Georgia.
Yep, absolutely. This recording will be shared after the fact. So if you want to refer back to it or take more screenshots, I'll make sure I send it out to everyone who is in attendance today. So thank you all.
Have a good evening.